We are 6 women.
We are wordsmiths.
We are magic.
We are curious.
We are contradictions.
We are wanderers.
We are people of many names.
We are mind trekkers and story weavers.
We are adventurous spirits.
We continue to grow.
We've been baptized in the font of dream and memory.
We are partly truth and partly fiction.
I am Gail.
I am Joanne.
I am Margie.
I am Katie.
I am Marion.
I am Mary.
We are the Mystic Order of East Alabama Fiction Writers.
Hello. Welcome to the Mystic Order podcast. We have a great podcast today full of advice from wise mystics. So hang in there because you're going to learn so much stuff. I am Mary, the nebulous mystic, and let's go around and see who else is here.
I am Joanne, the mystic defender.
Retired.
Recovering. I like to say that I'm a recovering attorney, not a retired attorney. I don't think I'll ever retire.
I'm Margie, the mystic illuminator.
I'm Katie, the mystic oracle.
And I'm Gail, the queen, and I'm not retiring from the queenship, but I am retired.
You never retire from the queenship. You know how you become queen no longer. The same way Elizabeth did.
Yeah, that worries me.
We shall not discuss.
In my will, I'm going to hand over the reins of the mystics, but I'm not telling who gets it.
I would love to be at the reading of that will.
We're missing Mystic Marion today, and I hate that because Marion has a lot of strong opinions
and
about
advice.
what people should do, and she has a lot of advice. So we may just have to let her have her own.
And you've got on your Marion earrings, don't you?
I wore some earrings that Marion gave me, and she gave all of us some really lovely,
I love those.
spooky earrings.
I went to put Mary's on. I think I put them in the dog bowl because that's what I was doing before I left. I'm not having a mystic day.
Earrings in the dog bowl. All right, so before we get started on our advice, let's just take a minute to see who had a mystic week. Oh, Katie takes the mic.
Yes, well, I'll keep it short, but I was able to see the annular eclipse last week in New Mexico under the actual line of totality.
Perfect.
And it was amazing, and this cool cowboy came up and joined us, so it was a really mystical moment and a fabulous experience.
Wow.
And there will be another eclipse in 2024 that if you can't get in this line of totality, then you can still see it from here in Alabama. So be looking out for the April, I think it's the 8th.
There's one coming a lot sooner than that next year.
That's what I
April
said, next year.
2024.
Oh, next year is
next
2024.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, my God.
I'm so
Maybe
glad.
You know what? Mary's
having
the
a
youngest
mystical-
mystic. However, let me say this. She's joined the group.
She has
We used to
this
call her
age.
our young teenage
Oh, no,
mystic, but that's not happening anymore.
No.
Mystics are, because we travel through the universe and through time, we are rarely oriented to time and place.
Right. Yes.
Wow, I was thinking it was like the 2017 eclipse all over again. So let me ask you this, though. I watched it from, Georgia, and we did pinhole projections and all that good stuff and used glasses, and it looked like Pac-Man's. But you were in the path of totality, so you got to see it perfectly centered, and you got to see the ring. Did it darken up there?
It darkened some, but what was more obvious was the temperature drop.
Really?
And then there were birds all around us, just, various regular species, and they all did settle down and get quieter. They didn't actually go to roost as they would in a full eclipse, but it was really amazing.
That is, when I saw the full eclipse, I was just stunned.
Katie sent out some great pictures. Did y'all get them?
No.
Yeah, I saw some on
they were on
Facebook.
Facebook.
They were
Yeah.
wonderful.
Facebook,
Well, I had a
do
mystic
Facebook.
week, and it's totally different from the eclipse, but a classmate of mine recommended a grounding mat for health. And behind this thought is if you go barefooted outside and get grounded, you don't need the grounding mat. So it helps you with your arthritis and anything that's inflamed and your sleep patterns. So I've been using it all this mystic week. And maybe just due to the suggestion that it would help me, I am sleeping great, but I'm remembering my dreams, and I haven't remembered my dreams in years.
What
Oh, wow.
exactly do you do with it?
Well, it's like a mat. It's a very thin mat, and you plug it into the grounding, the little round hole under the hot and neutral prongs. You know, there's a little,
Yeah.
you plug it in there, and you have to put it on your bare skin. So a lot of times at night, I put it right over my knees while I'm watching TV. And if I fall asleep and don't turn it off, I just go into the deepest sleep.
I thought you had to go stand outside.
No, but I remember when I was in college in the years that there were a lot of people that walked barefoot back
Right.
then, and they were all from Montgomery, Alabama, and there was this doctor that had birthed them. Back then, you just had one doctor. He was your heart doctor, your brain doctor, your nose doctor, whatever.
Yeah.
But the kids that he birthed and then raised through his practice all were barefoot. And I'd see him and I'd go, "Are you from Montgomery?" "Yes, I'm Dr. So-and-so's patient."
Well,
You know,
I may
I
be
still go barefoot.
old, but I still go barefooted
I still
a
go
lot.
barefoot. Yeah,
and
I do.
Outside.
Yes.
Outside.
It has
yeah.
to be outside.
Every
Outside on the
morning.
ground all the time. In fact, when Joe met me, one of the things he was most startled about is that I would walk around barefooted in Harvard Square. He just had never seen somebody that would go barefooted in public. And
Was it wintertime?
he was also startled that I would walk barefooted in the snow outside. I've just always preferred to go barefooted if possible.
And I walk barefoot every morning when I take Quipper out for her morning constitution. I never put shoes on.
Yeah.
I just, yeah.
We're so
try
grounded.
that. Yeah.
3 of us anyway. Are you two grounded?
I'm not grounded.
Are you grounded?
My feet.
The other thing she recommended is red lights, so we'll just see how much that is on Amazon.
Depends on whether you
Do
put it
we
outside
have red
too. Don't put it
lights?
at your door.
Yeah, exactly.
Then you'll be
Grounded.
busted.
Grounded for sure.
Okay.
Oh, I had a mystic week.
Oh, good. Let's hear it.
Because I had an art show again at Opelika Art House
Wow, Margie.
with my sister, Siri Andre, Donna Young, and Bernice Fishman. And it was great. We had a great time, and it was wonderful to be with my sister. So we had a good
It's
time.
good that's cool. That you can do this family thing, both be artists and show your art.
I know.
Okay. How about good books? Anybody read any good books that they want to share? Marky, go ahead.
Well, I have recently read and am now reading 2 Stephen King books.
Oh.
One was Holly, which has a lot of trigger warnings, so, if you're squeamish, don't read it. And the one I'm reading right now is Fairy Tale, which is great. I'm really enjoying it. And also I read Wayward, Weyward, by Emily, Emilia Hart. And that one's great. I recommended that to Marion, and I thought she would love that. And I don't know if she's read it yet.
What's the name of it?
Wayward, Weyward. But the Stephen King does not disappoint.
What's the second Stephen King book? You said Holly?
Fairy Tale.
Fairy Tale. I have not read Stephen King since I was little, except for On Writing, which I read frequently because he's my BFF whenever I read it. But
He's such a good writer, even
He is a good
though
writer.
it's Holly is Holly Gibney. If you ever read any other books that she's in, but it doesn't disappoint. But it is gruesome.
okay.
Oh dear.
Be warned.
Yeah,
Well-
he's got his
I'm reading The Sentence by Louise Erdrich, who's one of my favorite. This was a quote from one of her, off of Amazon. In this New York Times best-selling Pulitzer Prize National Book Award winning author Louise Erdrich creates a wickedly funny ghost story, a tale of passion, of a complex marriage, and of a woman's relentless eras. I'm almost finished. I have another chapter left, but it is funny, but it's also, the setting is Minneapolis, Minnesota, during the time of unfortunate riots and a murder.
interesting.
Then last week I read a lightweight book, which I recommend highly. I give it 5 stars. It's called Penelope in Retrograde. And it's a debut novel by Brooks Abrams. And it's more than a beach book, but it's not a very heavy read, but it is hilarious. So if you need something to break up the serious reading, it's Penelope in Retrograde.
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 Okay, the first time you said retrograde, and I thought, is that a play on a word? Because it could work.
Perfect thing.
Well,
for
I'm going to
Halloween.
second the sentence. I loved it. And then I just finished the last report on miracles at Little No Horse,
That's
which
fabulous.
is also by
Oh,
Louise
yeah.
That's
Erdrich.
fabulous.
I love it.
If
that
you,
one.
I was not crazy about the title. It almost put me off because it was like, I can't figure out the title. So how can I ever figure out the book? But it's so good. And if you like just a good story with a lot of just really rich characters, it's great. It's
My
just
fave,
excellent
though, was The
storytelling.
Master Butcher's Singing Club, a top favorite of her books.
Well, I will definitely read it because I have loved those two.
And on that note, the book that I read was Pope Joan. And there's been a legend in the Catholic Church that there was a female pope back in the Dark Ages. And this woman took that idea, Donna Woolfolk, I love her middle name, Woolfolk Gross, took that idea, did a bunch of research on the Middle Ages and the Catholic Church during that time, and developed the character Pope Joan. Very well done. Very, very well done. There is evidence. There isn't evidence. Heck, it was the Dark Ages. Who knew? The tale, and I'm not giving away anything, is that her sex was discovered when she gave birth during a papal procession.
I think
That'll do it.
somebody knew already.
And somebody yelled, "A miracle!"
Where's
But
the star?
I also am in the process of reading something because, just finished a long walk called The Salt Path, which is a story that has won many awards. It's a first-time author. Her name is Raynor, Raynor, Wynn, Winn. And without giving too much away, she and her husband is at the beginning, is diagnosed with a terminal disease, and because of a bad investment, they lose their home and their livelihood.
Is it SALT, S-A-L-T?
SALT path. And she decides that what they need is a 630-mile walk around Wales, which comes from, and it's called the coastal path. But she
Is
calls
this
it the
fiction or nonfiction?
It is nonfiction,
Ah.
and soon to be a movie.
What was the other one where the guy walked? You know what I'm talking about.
The one
Where he walked to make the woman live.
The Unlikely Journey of
Yeah.
Harold Fry. Yeah, that was a good one. Yeah.
There's a third one out to that series, and it's from the
Well, this is
point
not-
of view of the wife of Harold Fry.
Oh yeah, no, it wasn't his wife. It was
The woman he was walking
Who-
to. That's number 2.
his woman was walking to. I haven't heard the third one. Though.
The third
yeah,
one's
the
from
love
his-
song of Queenie Hennessy is the second one. That's the only other one I know.
There's a third one.
Yeah,
And
the
it's-
wife was somewhat of a shrew.
Yes, but she improved.
Oh, good.
Katie, what do you read?
So I am in the process of reading James McBride's latest book, which is The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store.
Me too. I'm
And
about halfway through.
Love it. Oh, I love it, and I love anything James McBride does. So it's basically the story of this Jewish community and also the Black community, and it's multicultural and multi-generational, and it is so. What James McBride does, I think, that's so great is that he brings these perspectives from all kinds of different people, and how they become a community, and that's what this to me is about. So I can highly
Nice.
recommend that and anything he's written.
Yeah, very nice.
Well, I'm enjoying my halfway through. So, are we ready to give some advice?
I'm always ready to give advice.
Oh, yes.
Well, before we start giving our advice, I'm going to ask each of our attending mystics to tell me what qualifies them to be in this position of advice giving. Who would
just-
like to go first?
I was going to say I just gave it. I have 30 years as an attorney.
Okay.
And they do call attorneys counselors. And so that's lots of times is what you do is you counsel. You listen to things and counsel them.
All right.
I would say 40 years as a community college teacher.
Oh, yes. I am to that.
dealing with the
Probably better
public.
than me, Margie.
I would say 65 years of living, and
Oh.
a lot of that being dealing with beloved family members and people like that. So
And
I've
that
learned a lot
From your community.
from my community. Yes.
Of your community. And that is Katie's first life and second life, the 65 years. She's not that old.
Okay, what qualifies you to give
Well, one thing I'd
advice?
like to say about this group is mystics are born, not chosen. They keep suggesting that I chose them, but mystics are born. In our group of 6, why wouldn't we be giving advice? That's my question. Why not?
Did a crow come and sit at our windowsills when we were born?
Were we born with a call?
I'm 100% unqualified to give anybody advice. I can barely run my life, but if I had any qualifications, it would just be that I am very much enjoying my journey on planet Earth, and
That's
hope others
right.
can
That's
too.
what I'm saying. That's the best way to give advice.
Mary, you're a mama.
That's the
I
best
am a
way to give
mama.
advice.
Yeah.
And Marion, well, she's just qualified to give advice. She was born a soul with lots of wisdom, and I really wish she was
She can
here.
give advice.
She got a lot from her mama, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, like don't carry a glass casserole. You might drop it. Might cut you in the jugular.
And do not drive down Fire Tower Road. You will be run over by a pulpwood truck. You never drive down Fire Tower Road.
And stay away from mayonnaise. The death of your hips.
We love
Okay,
you,
now
Miss
that we-
Carol. We love you.
Oh, goodness. All right. So I will start with, we'll just jump right in and go with a question from one of our fans. All right.
Okay.
Gail's got a question.
One of our fans, Sheila, hi Sheila, asked us this question. I am in Cologne. I think she asked me this question so we'd know she was in Cologne.
Oh, you know it.
I ache all over from too much walking. Should it be scotch or vodka? And my advice to Sheila was call Uber.
Oh, okay.
My advice was both.
Can you mix them? Is it
Well, not at the same
risky to
well,
mix your whiskey
know,
or something?
Sure you can.
I think it's whiskey and wine.
What color is scotch? Is it a brown whiskey?
It is
Yes.
a brown whiskey.
And a white
yes.
and a white one?
Is scotch a whiskey?
It
Beer on
is.
whiskey.
It's a type.
It's Scotch.
It
can
is
be,
Scotch.
yeah.
No, it is Scotch whiskey, and as opposed to bourbon whiskey.
Oh.
Ask the Catholic. And so,
Because they're all heavy drunks.
because we all know our alcohol,
No,
we're
yeah.
not afraid to say hello to each other in the liquor store.
That's right.
So anyway,
Unlike the Baptists.
but my answer to Sheila would be that vodka is good for a toothache, and it also works wonders on other things. Yeah, until you just can't feel any pain at all. But whiskey is better to numb throat pain. It
She's got
also-
foot pain.
Well, it's throat pain, but it also stimulates weight loss. So,
Oh,
with
go for
that
the
said,
whiskey.
I would say both, and I think obviously.
Are you
all
suggesting
pain-
our fan needs
all pain, sure, all
Don't
pain
take that
would be gone.
personally.
Sheila? Obviously, one of our mystics was partaking of the whiskey before she got here. She's lost her sense of manners at this point.
Margie, what advice do you have for Sheila?
I would say neither. Go get a really good bottle of rosé. You're in France. Enjoy
Old world wine.
and drink the whole bottle.
Well, what I suggest, Sheila, is you come on home and let's just give it a little taste test. We can get
Yeah.
together and we can try some vodka and walk around the yard barefooted and see how we feel.
We're
and then-
open to hors d'oeuvres, too, if
Yeah,
she
then-
wants to serve hors d'oeuvres.
Then we
with
can
it.
have hors d'oeuvres, and then we can have scotch and go walk around the yard. Because I'm science minded about these things. I think we should just test it out. So, yeah, I say we check it out. Oh, but people do say if you're not an Episcopalian or a Catholic, they say that they can't smell vodka on your breath.
They say.
That's
So
a
I think
lie.
a lot of people that are walking around with these water bottles have vodka in them.
We used to have, this is before my time, and so I'm not going to give any names, but we used to have a district attorney many years ago who would keep a bottle of scope in his box, but in his desk there in court. And every once in a while, of course, before he addressed the jury, he would have to rinse out his mouth, but no place to
Did he,
spit.
where did he spit?
So he swallowed it.
Oh, when he got-
They found out it was cream de mint.
Yum, yum.
Is that illegal
What's
Is
alcohol?
that illegal?
to be drinking in court?
Not, there's no law.
Is it a
against
misdemeanor?
it.
Is it a misdemeanor?
There is no. I'm sure that would be considered though. A violation, or what do they call it? I can't even think of
Ethics.
not ethical. That would be.
Is
lot of
it
attorneys would be in trouble
turpitude
if
or
it was
something?
ethical.
You mean they all have cream de mint? What do you,
Now we know.
That is one reason why they took the drawers out of the desk that the attorneys sit at it course.
And here they were worried about me riding around on a drunk horse.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay.
No.
Well, let's see. I'm going to read a question. This one is from somebody real close to me, Steve Harrison. He's given me a lot of good advice in the past. So here's his question. Is 8 a big number? This one has long puzzled me.
Well, I have an answer.
Okay.
Well, but wait, you forgot to read the first question he had.
Oh, I didn't need to read them in order, did I?
Well, I answered them as if there were one question.
Oh. Okay, then I'll tell you what. Let me back up. I'll read
Okay.
them because I don't
Okay.
want
I
to
think they
confuse
are
the
part
answers.
of the same question.
If your boyfriend or girlfriend has your name tattooed on his or her left butt cheek, should you be proud, aghast, terrified, or merely nonplussed? Also, is 8 a big number? This one has long puzzled me.
Okay, well, I did type out a little answer because this is a very complicated problem.
Okay.
There we go.
And I wrote, I surmise from your letter that your paramour has the number 8 tattooed on his or her posterior. Perhaps this is, in fact, the symbol for infinity. This is somewhat alarming in that infinity is the concept of something that is unlimited, endless, and without bounds. Is this what you are looking for in a sexual partner? On the other hand, if it is simply the number 8, that is a number that comes blessed with positive energy, the power of transition, and possibly of infinite abundance. It also comes with the theme of self-discipline and should be seen as a sign of encouragement. Before carrying on any further with this paramour, this should be cleared up. Is it an 8 or is it infinity?
But it said your name on the butt cheek.
All right, I will tell you.
What if it's your
how
name 8
I
times on the butt
interpreted
cheek?
The question. And Steve is very handsome, very intelligent. He is just a sweetie.
Well, he tried to
But
pick us up last night.
He did, I can imagine. And Steve, 8 names on your butt cheeks is way too many, and I am surprised that you have butt cheeks that big to put 8 names on there.
Butt cheeks.
Oh, I wish I had said that.
And my
So
darling,
8's a big number.
My darling,
Well,
my dear.
Well, did we know any of the names on the butt cheek?
I'm sure there's one. We know one.
Y'all are misreading this. It said if your boyfriend or girlfriend has your name tattooed, should you be proud or aghast?
Oh,
I
there
think
we
it's
go.
his name tattooed on somebody else's butt cheek.
And 8 other and 7
Oh,
other names.
maybe-
And 7 other names. And that's what I was worried
I think
about.
it's the name with the infinity sign because he's being careful.
No, I think it's the number of names, my
You know
darling.
what? We need
Okay.
Steve to clear
I
this
thought
up.
they were two different questions.
I thought so too, Katie. How
May-
did you answer either of these questions?
So my first one was I think proud should be. You know, I mean, why not? Because you are there for eternity.
Yep.
So it does make sense, infinity, but that would be. And then I just thought I wasn't quite sure I understood the 8 question, but I think of it in a ranking thing, like 1 to 10, and I think 8's a high. You know, it's big
Right.
that way. But he may have had a whole different reason.
Well, you
for
know,
that question.
8 beers is a lot of
That's
beers,
true.
right?
It is. Yeah.
But, you know,
Maybe
8
it was the
grains of
names-
sugar is just not enough.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
what
all
does that
relative,
mean?
isn't it?
And Katie, it is not there for eternity. I had a case in which a man had his wife's name tattooed across his back. And when they departed ways, there was a lot of animosity there. She eventually ran over him with a car. But
Yeah, I'd call that animosity.
but the argument began when he was in the tattoo parlor. And I guess it was before the time that you could have it surgically removed. And so he was having a tattoo put over the name. The tattoo was the Grim Reaper.
Oh, nice.
I love that story.
Oh, geez.
I would just put it in my 2 cents words.
Yeah.
Yes, 8 is a big number.
Well,
Words of wisdom.
It's not as
from
big
Margie.
as 9.
8's big. So, as far as the whole thing about tattooing on your butt cheek, we got to first address your philosophy and religion. Confucius is against tattooing, period.
Me
It's
too.
The human body is
Confucius
a
and
gift.
the Queen. Uh-huh.
Christianity, Judaism, and Islam traditionally have been opposed to tattooing. Although there's a lot of people out there with Jesus stuff tattooed on their
down there.
bodies,
Oh,
so
my
I'm not
gosh,
sure how we're
yes.
working that out.
Some henna in the tattoo.
Yeah, well, Buddhism, Hinduism, they're all good with tattooing. That works. So, first of all, you want to make sure, it doesn't cross any religious lines. But let's talk about the placement of that tattoo on the butt cheek, because that is important. And I know all about this because I Googled it. So you said a tattoo on the right. No, the tattoo is on the left. And so tattoos on the left side of your body are close to your heart, and that's good. If the tattoo is on the right side of the body, that represents things that are temporary, even though tattoos are permanent. So I don't know how they come up with this kind of stuff. So it's good that it's on the left if you want to be a permanent part of this person's life. Now, as far as it being on the butt cheek, according to a tattoo website, that's where we hold our emotions in our butt cheeks.
I would be
explains so much.
I had a wiggle and a walk. So, that's okay. And then, if it was on the toe, well, the middle right toe, that's That's where we hold our aggression. So if you tattoo something on your middle right toe, then that's not
My middle right toe is all bruised up right now.
aggressive.
Oh my gosh.
I have a question about holding your emotions in your butt cheek. What if you have just like this enormous butt cheek?
You're very emotional.
Very emotional. That's
Very
right.
emotional.
As somebody who is broad in the beam, as my father used to call it, I
Yeah.
can attest to that. I'm very emotional.
And here's something I thought was interesting about tattoos is they say that on the shoulder is where we carry our burdens, but a lot of people tattoo
Yeah.
things on their shoulders that I
On
don't
their
know, we gotta think
shoulders?
about that. There's a lot of shoulder tattoos
Yeah.
out there. Yeah.
What about ankle tattoos?
I'm going to have to do further research.
They're
Here's-
fraternity boys.
Well, and it may be because that's exactly where Michael got his tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
On his ankle.
ankles.
Yeah, if they have a rooster on their ankle, they're a fraternity boy.
Well, he wasn't, but he was acting like one. So.
And one more thing I need to say about 8, I did look it up on numerology and found some of the things that Gail found. But also, if you look at somebody's buttocks, it's kind of shaped like an 8.
You are very right about that.
So, Steve, we've been helpful.
Have we? I think
Should we
we've
have
helped
Steve
him
on
a
the
great.
show next time and let him
I do
explain
too.
all
I
this?
think
Yeah.
we've helped him a great deal today.
I think so,
we
too.
have.
Yeah.
And
But
probably
let's
our
do-
listeners.
I think you tell Steve. I think I interpreted his question properly.
Yes, I agree. Also, I think we gave him some normalcy to his problem.
There we go.
And also, if you're ever bored, look up tattoo errors. It's really funny. And ironically, the word tattoo is one of the most commonly misspelled words in our language. And then, of course, misspelled tattoos are.
Did Steve misspell
A delight.
tattoo? Let me look.
Oh, no.
I don't think so.
No,
He can
not-
spell
not
now.
our
That
Steve.
man
Oh,
can
my
spell.
gosh.
A lot of that depends too on your butt. Some people do not have very good butts. I mean, like flat butts.
They have flat emotions.
So they're unemotional. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, y'all, if you catch
Plus
me
the
staring at
tattoo
people's
might
booties,
hurt the less padding you have. I don't know.
less, I would think more padding.
I would
I
think
think it
more
hurts
padding
on-
would help.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
what.
Yes,
That's what I meant.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't have any tattoos, but they say the ones close to the bone hurt the most.
Well, I won't be finding that out.
Okay. Well,
So that
Likewise.
is a question. Can we ask everybody here? Does anybody here have a tattoo?
Absolutely not. I'm the queen.
I do not.
no.
I have been tempted when
Marion doesn't. I'm
Yes.
speaking for her.
Well, when we ran the marathon in Disney World, if my sister-in-law and I could have found a tattoo parlor that evening, I would have Mickey Mouse somewhere on my body as we speak.
Oh, my
but
God,
we
aren't you
could
glad you
not.
didn't?
Yes.
Was there alcohol involved?
No, Sheila needed to discuss scotch or vodka with you at that point.
Well, there may have been a little vodka, vodka
gosh.
involved.
Well, let's move on to our next question.
Okay. Who's got a question? I've got some, but I'll let somebody else take a turn.
I was gonna
Katie's
say,
got some
let's do one
questions.
from Bartholomew. She's
Yes.
one of
So
our
our
greatest
very
fans.
favorite pirate and
Fan.
fan and just this amazing person has sent one in. So Bartholomew, here is yours. Okay, Mystic Mothers, I have another dilemma. My tween, 10-year-old daughter. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed the first question. Should I?
Let's do the
I
first
think
Well, go ahead with that
I
one,
think
then
you
we'll
can do
go
that one.
backwards.
I don't think they build.
Okay, so there'll be another one. My 10-year-old daughter already knows everything. How do I nudge her towards the actual right, easier, better way to do things without losing my mind and making her blow her stack? Grandmama my oracle of Delphi at Delphi has passed, so I need words of wisdom.
Well, I have some for her.
All right, Gail.
I'm going to read mine because I've thought about this and thought I better type it. I'm assuming, Miss Smith, that you're Greek since your grandmother was Pythia, the Oracle of Delphi. Also, I don't think Smith is a Greek name. I think it's British. Yet, this is not a dress your problem. All daughters in the 4th grade turn into shapeshifters. At times, they are the child that you've grown to love, and then with no warning, a harpy erupts to occupy the 2nd bedroom. This could make your life miserable. At these unhappy times, you should withdraw to a warm, bubbly bath with a strong spirit of your choosing, and speak with Sheila on that. This is a libation, not your next-door neighbor's husband. Try to coast until the she-devil goes off to college. The queer thing is, the child witch was listening the entire time while casting chaos. This comes out later. I hope that you're alive and well enough to appreciate the totally decent person who is your daughter.
Oh. Says Gail, who didn't have a daughter, but
Right. Now, those of us that have daughters.
Go ahead, the daughter owners.
I have 3 daughters, and here's what I say. I say perhaps consider that she is right. And let that sink in a moment. But I think kids are probably a lot righter than we think they are. And
I agree with that.
if we just stop giving them so much trouble, and I have some backing on this. Now, she's 8. 2 years ago, she's 10. 2 years ago, she was 8, our magic number of the day. And I want to read to you a quote from Dr. Michael Milobsky, who's a pediatrician in some big city, and I don't know where. On 8-year-old girls. No, this is national news, so he's not from Opelika. And 10 is not far from 8. He says 8-year-old girls are the highest form of humanity. And then here's from his statement. 8-year-old girls are magnanimous. They're sympathetic. They're emphatic. They're emotionally mature. They love to help. They love to give. They love to do for others. They're accepting of everybody. They're the ones who see the sign for the lost cat and want to go find it. They are just the best people. In my opinion, Congress should be all 8-year-old girls. Honestly, the country would be a better place. I said what I said.
There we go. Wonderful.
And I have 3 daughters, 2 granddaughters, who one of them has passed. Well, she's 10. She's almost 10. Sorry.
She's past 8.
She's past 8. She's almost 10.
She hasn't passed on. She's past 8.
And I have worked with middle school children pretty much my whole life, and I'm currently working with girls that age and boys. And I think most of the time they're right and we're wrong.
Let's hear from some of the other mamas of girls.
Well, looking back on it, Mary, I kind of have to agree with you because my daughter, as much as I thought she was wrong, now that we're both adults, I think she was really right about her observations about me, although I would not hear it. But she does speak to me again. It started about age 21. And we're great now. And then I have a beautiful granddaughter who's in her early 20s too. And she's great. But granddaughters are different because they can do no wrong.
Yeah, they're perfect in every way, at every age.
They are, I agree. So I have 2 daughters, and Bartholomew, I would say that patience, because really not only letting her run her own path, but also that this too will pass, and then you will love each other as much later as you do now. So it's being patient and getting through this period. Somebody told me once that God made teenagers so we would let them go.
Yes.
I think that
you're
there's
ready.
a lot to, right, that otherwise you keep them forever and you wouldn't let them leave. So I think there's a lot to be said.
And if you just relinquish all control, then everything's so much easier.
Yeah.
Because
And she says, how do I nudge her towards the actual right, easier, better way to do things
Yeah, I think you
without
should
losing my mind? And I would say that unless it's something that will affect her for the rest of her life, or a matter of life and death, let her make her own choices and her own mistakes. I don't have daughters, but I grew up with 5 sisters, all younger than me, And sometimes you have to do that. But obviously, if it is something that will affect her the rest of her life, like a tattoo or
Her manners. Her manners.
Well, no, let her make her own mistakes. And when she gets
she's got to know. She's got to know the outline.
Popped by somebody else other than Mama because she's been rude, then she will learn.
But she won't know she's being rude if you don't give them a broad outline.
Well, I think you still have to
you have to
expose
train her,
them to other
sure.
I do
ideas,
too.
but I don't think you have to force them toward it.
Exactly.
That's
No.
the thing, because they're not. I mean, I think that if they
you
have
set
not
your
been-
expectations, but then you pick
Right.
your battles.
My best suggestion came from a mother one day when I was so exasperated with not my daughter, my son. And she said, he's not through unfolding.
Exactly.
And that is
Exactly.
so true.
And she will have learned
And I'm not-
manners by 8 years of age.
If
or
you
it's
give her
gone.
if you give her your broad outline, you don't
Sure.
have to stamp it on them, but just give them the broad outline.
There's this great story about this child psychologist who happened to be in a grocery store, and he saw this woman walking around with her young daughter who was screaming throughout the store. And the woman kept saying, "It's okay, Jennifer. It's okay, Jennifer. It's going to be okay, Jennifer." So he follows them through the store, and finally at the checkout counter, he stops and says, "I just want to praise you for your great compassion and your patience with this child," and repeating that. And she said, "Oh no, you don't understand. I am Jennifer." So Bartholomew, let me just say that when you talk
okay,
about being
Jennifer.
exhausted and how do you, I think it's really important as you let this munchkin go her own path that you take care of yourself too.
Amen.
It's
Well, I
all
think
right.
knowing
bubble
that it's
baths
going to
and-
change helps. Knowing that they will unfold helps. But someone told, one of the teachers I worked with said, I was going on about something that the kid had done, and she said, "You will be surprised when you hear them that they have listened to you
Yep,
at some
And
point."
they will be too. When you remember when you said, "Oh my gosh, I sound just like my mother," that will happen.
It will.
Yeah, but when you're going through it, it's hard.
Yes.
Well,
But we're here in spirit.
if I was
Yeah.
to do it all over
And
again, I'd
Bartholomew, be glad that you have an independent thinking daughter.
yes.
Yeah.
The things that make them difficult children make them really good adults.
That's
And
right.
you'll survive. And if I was going to go back and do it all over again, oh my gosh, it was so hard. But I'd do less. I would give myself so many more breaks. And you just try to do everything and nothing can get done.
At
So,
the second letter,
Good luck. Send her to me for a while. I like little girls. I'll take
at
her.
this second letter, I'm interested to hear what Mary has to say about how tired she is. I'm exhausted.
Oh, I got that one too. I got that
I do
one.
too, but I know what your answer is.
Do less. Well, go ahead and read the letter first.
Okay. This is from same fan. And we don't mind spending a long time with our fan, do we? 'Cause
not at
she
all.
spends a long time with us.
She does. Thank you, Bartholomew.
I'm exhausted. What are some motive, self-care, or drink recipes that will pep me up? Keeping up with the kiddo, the house, and schlepping art is grinding me down. Who answered that? I know what Mary said.
Okay, keep schlepping the art. Don't forget you have a kiddo, and let all the other stuff go. And if you're exhausted, here's my thought. You're doing things you don't want to do. So just do the things you want to do. None of it matters anyway.
Are you exhausted from doing all the things you want to do?
Nope, I'm exhausted from doing the things I didn't want to do and don't want to do. I can sit and look at my house and not feel like I can move a muscle to clean a bathroom. But then if somebody says, "Let's go kayaking," I'm like, boing, schlepping that kayak around, throwing it on the car. I'll go horseback riding. Y'all should see me throw a Western saddle up on a horse. I'll groom that horse for 45 minutes. I think you should be doing what you want to do and let some of that other stuff go. It doesn't matter, I promise. It is never going to matter. That's my advice.
I agree.
And that goes back to your 8-year-old girl, your 10-year-old girl. My life changed when I realized that when I turned 12, everything went to hell. And it stayed hell until I got to be about 55 and realized, wait, I haven't been myself since I was 12 years old. I've been somebody else. And I've been raising all these children and pleasing all these people and saying yes and doing all this stuff. And I think about what I really loved to do as a child. And when I do those things, I have boundless energy. So that's my advice. Hang out with that girl. and schlep your art?
Yeah, I've always been a fairly selfish person. So I have
And she has so much energy. You know, it's right.
and I have done what I wanted to do. I mean, not always, but help yourself. You've got to take care of yourself because nobody else will take care of you.
I have words of wisdom from the man who helped me overcome some of my problems. And he always said, when I'd say, I feel selfish about something, he would say, that's self-full. You should be
There you go.
self-full, not
Self-full.
selfish. Think of yourself that way.
The difference between being
go with that.
childlike and childish. And I think, yes, do the art. And, your house, your house will be there later.
And it gets dirty all over
But
again
and
for some
go,
reason.
maybe, go and spend some time doing fun things with your daughter instead of.
And dust will only build up so much, and then you can't tell.
Of course, I don't agree with any of this
You
at
can
all.
get a dust blower
This is just
in your
totally
house.
wrong. I don't know how I chose you people to be mystics,
because
We
you
were
didn't.
chosen.
but I will read the
born.
correct letter.
Splah.
Okay. In the second letter, Miss Smith, you are so industrious. The Mystic Queen is very tempted to come and live with you. She has countless house cleaning ideas and hints. Perhaps this will
Beware,
be
Bartholomew.
Perhaps this will be my next book. How many activities does your child attend? Here's some: soccer, swimming, scouting, dance, martial arts, horseback riding, tennis, softball, golf, basketball, gymnastics, and art camp. The Queen is tired from just reading this list. 2 should be the max, and she can pick her 2 favorites. Teach the kid to cook. Buy the kid a lightweight, battery-operated vacuum cleaner.
God, you're going to ruin this child. She'll be writing for advice. My mother gave me a vacuum cleaner for my birthday.
I love mine.
But can I say, this is what makes you happy. You love house cleaning.
I do.
If you loved horseback riding, you'd be talking like me.
But all right, wait, raise
I'm
your
not
hand.
through with my letter.
Okay, go ahead.
Pay a high schooler to overlook the homework and perhaps go retrieve the child from school. Stay in your studio while all this is occurring. As for the art, yours is really quite good and it should sell itself. Signed, a cleaner.
There we go.
Did you like cleaning when you were little?
I did.
See?
Because it controlled my environment for me.
See?
And I couldn't study in college until I had everything perfect. And I've made myself not be perfect. In fact, I can remember one time I was going to this big damn party with someone coming from out of town. So I cleaned my apartment. I even wiped the leaves on all the plants.
Oh, Gail. Oh,
Gee.
Gail.
And when he got there, I said to him, I just don't think I can go.
You were too tired from
I'm
cleaning.
too tired.
And I had the best
But you
leaves.
know what? That was kind of a wake-up call for me.
About the guy or about your
hope so.
housekeeping?
No, I really liked the guy, and I was sorry I couldn't spend time to...
Well, some people are selfishly painting and don't have time for men, and some people are selfishly cleaning.
I want to just say to Bartholomew, the very first thing I do in the morning is I get out my lightweight...
Oh my gosh. Help us, Rabbit said.
I go walk barefooted in the yard.
my lightweight vacuum cleaner.
Which brings us to our next question. What is wrong with people? Okay, we had a question from, let's see if I can find his name, because I really want to help this person.
You've made me cry,
George.
Bartholomew.
George.
I keep losing it on
the green.
Oh, I've got it.
Okay.
Yes.
Would you read his question, please?
I'm crying. I can hardly see.
Wait,
okay.
get her a Kleenex so
needs
she
the
can
adult
wipe
bill.
the
It's
tears.
wipe her
Gary
tears.
Green, right?
Gary, yes.
Why do people act the way they do?
That is a deep question. That's an entire
I was going to
series
say,
of
and
shows.
obviously, Gary, it has something to do with psychosis, as the Queen has evidenced.
Okay.
could go into nature versus nurture and all kinds of things.
Back up a little bit. I have had people come over, and after taking a tour of what I thought was the art in the house, they say to me, "Is your house like this all the time?"
You need to meet my sister Carol, because hers is the only house as clean as yours in my entire family.
Why?
Because Carol, she married somebody who was a clean freak.
So they say that about my house too, but it's because there's animals all over the place. We used to, when the kids were little, we would.
It's the cleanest in the family.
No, they say it's your house always like this.
Well, and I thought about this, talking about why do people act the way they do. We grew up. There were 12 children within 15 years. And so we lived in chaos entirely. And maybe Carol, being the middle child, maybe she had to control her environment, because we sure heck didn't control it.
It makes things better for some people. It just makes things better.
Well, it does. And I call it procrastinating. When I'm supposed to do something else, I'll clean my house. I go.
Well,
anyway.
I have, of course, written an answer to Gary. You're asking the mystics to puzzle out the old argument, genes versus environment, nature versus nurture. Is this correct? Is this what you're asking, Mr. Green? I actually think you are disappointed in someone or someones. This I can address. Put these someones in your personal timeout chair. Let the assigned person linger there until there is a light bulb moment. The shock of realizing one is in the timeout chair immediately puts them on their good behavior mode. It is at this point that you must make some more permanent decisions about their conduct. P.S. This can take up to 5 years, so be patient.
And by the timeout chair, the queen does not mean an actual chair, but the queen is...
Maybe she does.
Well, it may be, but you would have to tie them there, and that would not be appropriate, at least legally. Anyway, but the queen is very good, as she said, at the art of silence. And so
We call that ghosting now. Just ghost them.
Ghost them. Is that it? Ghosting, yeah.
People
Ghosting.
can't stand to be put in the timeout chair. I've even had people call me because I hadn't heard from them in a long time and I haven't called them, and they'll call and go, "Am I in the timeout chair?" I go, "Do you need to be in the timeout chair?"
That's right. Mea culpa. Mea culpa.
Who else has an answer?
Well, and he asked, does helps knowing what to say to them, and sometimes saying nothing to them is the best way to change behavior. So, I guess it depends on who these people are that he's saying don't act the way they do. And if it is somebody close to you, I would say just be blunt. Tell them that you didn't appreciate a word they said, or you didn't appreciate an action they took. And sometimes honesty is the best policy.
I also think there's a lot to be said for if it is someone close and you really want to deal with this, to say, explain to me why.
Exactly.
Because I think so often they may not have even thought about that. But, it takes a minute, and that may take 5 years before they figure out why they did it.
Especially if you don't tell them.
Right. But I think if you're going to approach them and say, I think it's perfectly appropriate to say, I'm unhappy with what happened, but I think it's also appropriate to say, explain to me what you were thinking or why that was going on.
I interpreted his question on a grander scale, and so I did.
You mean like the legislature?
Yeah. Huge groups of people that aren't behaving. So I did look up.
You are talking about
some
the
personality disorders, and there's the schizoids. They just kind of are hard. They don't want to interact, and they're indifferent to criticism. No, he's probably not talking about that. He might be talking about schizotypal. These people are delusional. They have poor social skills, and here's the thing about them. They almost sound interesting for a minute when you get to the part about, they believe in special powers. That's kind of cool. But then it turns out they have this rambling way of speaking. They have misguided significance to everyday items. Like they believe that maybe that a leader is saying something, but there's a hidden message under it, which is like the QAnon people. If y'all hadn't delved into QAnon,
do we actually know who Gary Green is?
No, but if he's into QAnon, he might be a schizotypal person. But he may have been talking about I was looking like maybe he's talking about antisocial, maybe borderline, maybe histrionic, but then I hit on narcissistic, and I think that's what's wrong with people. I think we got a lot of narcissists. They think they're special, but deep down they fear they're worthless. They are over-aggrandizing of their own achievements. They believe they are entitled. Oh, here's one that defines our entire economic system. They exploit others for their own gain.
Yes.
They lack empathy. They look down on others and feel deeply envious of people they feel are above them. And I know it's really bad with the kids that social media is feeding into this narcissistic personality by always presenting these fake, influencers, and people always putting their grand life. Like me, if you look on my social media feed, it looks like I do nothing but just have beautiful grandchildren and ride beautiful horses and hang out with my handsome husband and adorable dogs. But, I'm not going to put the dirty grime of my life on social media or the problems. And so I think what's wrong with people is that we're all living our fake lives. I don't know what to do about that. Anyway, I think we have some narcissism going on.
I hope Gary understood that.
Why would he not? It was clear as a bell.
All right.
Yeah, anyway, I think a lot of times people feel isolated no matter how, surrounded by people. And it's just that the need to belong.
Yes, to anything.
To anything, and grasping for that. So, I don't know. I guess it's just for people to have empathy for other people is the most important thing empathy. If you can. And just say, well, that could be me.
So this is a good time to tell a kind of a horrid moment in my life recently where I was run off the road aggressively and hostily 3 times in one night. And
purposely.
When I say run off the road, I mean they cut their car in front of me and turned. So I had to screech on my brakes and ended up in the median, threw their garbage on my car, and then did it again, and then acted like they were going to go along about their way, and then did it a 3rd time, and then waited menacingly until other cars came before they let me out on the road. And it was because I think they thought I gave them a brake job, but I actually had to stop because there were cars in front of me stopping at a stoplight. So I really, after I got over the shock and the just fear of being terrorized.
Is this our mystic moment time?
I don't know. This is about what's wrong with people.
Yeah.
Oh.
My overarching what I was left with was, why would they do that? Why do they see me as a person, not as a human? What makes somebody driving a car see another car is something that they can feel such anger toward.
I think Gary Green is asking that question.
And it's just real perplexing. And I addressed it in a column, and I said, we as adults have to model empathy better than we do. Adults will drive around in cars flipping people off and screaming and act like it's funny. And I think there's a lot of casual pretend meanness that adults do that's trickling down. I don't know. The whole world, we just need to all be Buddhists. I don't know.
We do.
It's rough.
Well, there's a lot of anonymity, too. You're in a car, you're in this box. You're not a person. You're a machine. And the same thing with the person in there. He can control his machine the way he wants to. And the same thing goes with Facebook. You're a blop on the page. You're not a human.
My question is, what was in the garbage?
Fast food. I didn't say the F word.
Fast food and beer cans.
I didn't, it smashed on my windshield and rolled off into the median. And this all happened very fast.
I think something like that must have happened to Gary Green for him to ask this question. I think you've hit the nail on the head.
And when I drive, I do stay really far away from other cars. But, that's you can't stay away from other human beings.
Too many other cars on the road.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on.
Let's move on.
Please.
Yeah.
I have an anonymous one.
Ooh.
Oh, anonymous.
This will be good.
Anonymous. We do have Clarence Bonners that we can't forget, but I'll read the anonymous one. I have first. Dear Mystics, I took a DNA test to learn more about my ancestry. The results came in the mail today, and I've spent the rest of the day crying and having a nervous breakdown. Please do not use my name if you talk about this letter. The problem is that a very, very, very small percentage is Neanderthal. This information would put my mother in an early grave, and I fear my husband will leave me. He has asked me several times if I've received the results of my DNA test. I've made a list of everyone I told I was going to take a test. I plan to avoid these people on the list. Of course, I plan to avoid the people on the list, including my mother. I will tell what I think is an acceptable white lie to keep her from passing. I hope you have some helpful advice to me. Signed, DNA Doomed.
Go ahead, Margie. Address this.
Well, I had the same result, and I'm quite proud. The Neanderthal were really kind of nice. It's too bad that Homo sapiens took us over.
They are Homo sapiens.
Well, whatever. We're not around. Only our DNA lives, and be proud. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
And Margie, that is coming from the most refined and artistic of all the mystics.
Thank you, Joanne.
Margie's the most refined, artistic.
Well,
I'll go with.
And I mean refined in a way of thinking, and as far as her artwork. Oh yeah, absolutely. You be proud of that Neanderthal.
I have a written answer here.
Okay.
Gee, Neanderthals are not that bad. Well, maybe they have an unfortunate nose and a bad forehead. You did not include a photograph in your letter, leaving me curious as to the far reach of your problem. Anyway, there's no reason to be ashamed. In fact, I think you should flaunt the fact that you can trace your heritage all the way back to limestone caves. That should put the Mayflower bunch in a snit.
There you go.
I think you're joined by some famous Americans. Tommy Lee Jones, Lady Gaga, Ben Franklin, the forehead, Porter Wagner, the yodeling ability.
Did Neanderthals yodel?
Who knew?
She's making that up.
And Ken Jennings, the host of Jeopardy, to name a few.
Yeah.
Many Neanderthals sit in our House of Representatives, so you can clearly see you are not doomed. Walk with pride, the Mystic Queen.
I did some reading. First of all, I'm really thrown by the pronunciation of the word. I grew up saying Neanderthal, but now all the people that talk about this stuff are calling them Neanderthals, and I don't know what happened to the TH, why it turned into a T.
Neanderthals?
It can be either
That's
one.
because they're ignorant.
That's because be either one.
I don't believe they actually were the same as Homo sapiens, but I could be wrong. But my reading tells me that it compared them to Homo sapiens.
They have found a linking one in the last dig they did.
Very recently. So it says they have more brain capacity than humans. They had thick skulls. They could be smarter, maybe even smarter than modern day humans. And the women were as strong as the men. They lived in communities, blah, blah, blah. But here's what else I want to say. I don't know, because you're almost said amphibious. You're anonymous. What your ethnicity is. If you're African, then you might want to worry a little bit about hanky-panky, because in all the European and Asian ancestry, or within the genome of the human genome of the Asians and Europeans, there's about 5 to 10% of Neanderthal in all of our genomes. Except for the African population. I don't know why I have to do. This was a very quick morning read about that. It just came out recently.
Because I think they were in that area, Europe, Asia. Yeah. But they found, and they used to think that the Neanderthals were very stupid. And, we use the word like you did, Neanderthal meaning somebody stupid. But actually,
did I say
found,
that?
No,
yes,
you praised their yodeling ability.
As in the Congress.
Well...
Now, you are calling the Congress stupid.
Maybe I've misunderstood you. But they have found that Neanderthals also created fire, built cave hearths, so they could have fire inside the cave. They used medicinal herbs and plants to treat severe injuries. They stored food. They learned various cooking techniques. So they were much more sophisticated than we give them credit for.
There you go. And all those people you're worried about, when they do their DNA, they're going to actually have the same amount, because we all do. So I'm just really proud to, and so are you, to have some Neanderthal in my genome.
Neanderthal. And proud.
I don't think we should let the young people change our language until we're dead.
Oh no,
Actually,
languages
those were the
it changes
scientists
all the
that
time.
called it Neanderthal, not young people.
Yes, the old language is descriptive, not prescriptive. I had to learn that in my linguistics classes.
And it is Homo sapien neanderthalensis.
Okay, so this sentence is not very... Okay, we'll get off the technicalities. Hey, Anonymous, I think you should celebrate your Neanderthal DNA with a good yodel out to your relatives that you're all going to go out and build some fires
I
now.
hope Google wasn't wrong when I listed the celebrities.
Ooh, possible. So I was just looking at my 23andMe results, and I have a message from 23andMe saying, "Hey, Catherine," which is my real name, "you have more Neanderthal DNA than 70% of other customers."
Oh, my
So
Lord.
now I'm going to go dig into this because I am Neanderthal.
So what
and
you're
proud.
saying is you're 70% Neanderthal?
That's it. Something
Yeah.
like that. That's
No.
math.
Now, wait a
I can't
minute.
figure it out.
70% more
than others.
Yeah, I'm just saying how rumors get started.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
They hear
That might
a
explain a lot,
percentage and
but-
then
Does your husband know
tweet
this?
about it.
No,
I can't
he
wait
will
to
now.
tell him. Yeah.
I'll warn him ahead of this.
So
Listening to. The
well, that's
podcast.
because you're and you probably just don't have enough African blood.
Actually, further down, if I scrolled, I have 2% of that kind of DNA.
Jeez, my knees, you're all
And
mixed
what
up.
else?
Yeah, I know. I haven't looked that deep. We don't have that much time.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm mostly European.
I think I'm Lilliputian.
Oh,
So is Joanne.
I'm part Hobbit.
Well, I think we've gone through our.
No, we have
we've
one
got
more.
Clarence's advice.
We've got
He's
Clarence.
got a really
and then
pressing
another
problem.
anonymous if we have time.
Okay.
Okay. Clarence, I've just found my cat on the kitchen counter reading of Mice and Men next to Knives and Spices. Should I be worried? And the Clean Queen answered this way.
I know.
Well, frankly, I'm worried. Why are the spices not in the spice cabinet? And why aren't the knives in the knife drawer? And now the big problem. Cats do not belong on the kitchen counter, even intelligent cats that prefer reading to running after yarn balls, perhaps batting at a feather. As for your cat reading of Mice and Men, a tale so depressing that even a cat would consider a kitchen knife to put out her own misery by the self-inflicted narrative. Please help your cat make better suggestions. Perhaps Dr. Seuss.
I agree with you that Dr. Seuss would be a good place to start because the cat has some reading comprehension problems. The cat's making an assumption about the book because of the word mice.
Exactly.
And, when the cat gets more deeply into that book, he's going to realize it's not really a book about mice.
But
Is it about-
she might be tantalized by the rabbits in there.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
yeah.
The rabbits, mice. So,
So
anyway.
I do a little reading comprehension check on the rabbit. on the cat.
my comment was only worry if it's one of the Hemingway polydactyl cats, because then it would be much more able to use the knives if it had two opposable thumbs or whatever.
Yeah, I was
on
going to
each
say,
paw.
tell us
about your cat thumbs.
and
Yeah.
be much more critical of the book.
Is the extra one a thumb?
Well, I don't know.
It's-
but they've got more
It's on this
digits
side.
to manipulate a knife
it's
with.
on that
so
Yeah, I
that would be-
see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I went on. I said that be proud that he's picked some classical
Yeah.
reading, and I also said that don't be unless you have read it yourself, don't be critical of what the cat is reading.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're concerned, maybe because of the violence and things that occur in Of Mice and Men, perhaps you should push along maybe Old Possum's book of Practical Cats or Dr. Seuss. I was going to suggest A Street Cat Named Bob, but you probably don't want your cat on the streets.
Cat in the Hat can be pretty naughty, though.
Oh, yes.
That's why
very
I
bad.
suggested Dr. Seuss.
That's the Cat in the Hat.
I might recommend Puss in Boots, but that might get you in trouble.
That could be, yeah.
He had a sword.
So
I know.
I'm thinking you should worry at this point.
No,
You
I
did
don't
really?
think
We
so.
haven't even addressed the spices.
Well,
Why they're on the counter, I don't know. Instead of in the spice
I
cabinet.
would say, not worrying about the spices.
He might be
I'm
looking
sure.
for catnip.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it time for a mystic moment?
Ding, 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 ding. It's time for a mystic moment. Gail.
I did have a mystic moment this week, and it was last Wednesday when my cousin Julia boarded a plane out of Israel to Dubai, then Houston, and then Pensacola. She'd been in her hotel, secured in her hotel for several days, and wanted to leave out, I think on the Monday. She left out on Wednesday. And I don't know if I have this story correct, but I think for her hotel, they didn't want to drive to the airport in daylight. Their flight went around all the Arab states. It took 16 hours to get to Houston.
Wow.
I don't have all the information, but I sure was relieved when she got home.
Yeah,
kidding.
we all are. Wonderful. I have a mystic moment, but it's really a mystic mystery.
Ooh.
And I'm hoping, and dear readers, if you know the reason for this, please let me know. I have a friend who had a ticking apple. She got an apple out of the refrigerator, and it was ticking. Tick, tick, like a clock, like an old clock. Tick,
Does her
tick,
husband love
tick,
her?
Tick. Well, yes. He was there.
How
he
long
was the
did
one
it
who
tick?
had gotten it. Ticked for about 3 minutes. And finally, they cut it open to see if maybe there was an animal or a bug in there. Nothing.
I've had ticking
it has
apples
something
before.
about the seeds.
I think it's the water volume.
If you go online, there is a YouTube that's entitled "Why is my apple ticking?"
Oh, I just love it.
I know. So
I am
we want
into the ticking apples. I'm going to the
inquiring
store.
minds
What's the
want
answer?
to know. I don't know. That's why it's mystic.
I love it. I'm all into this ticking apple.
I need to do that.
Even my son, who I swear knows everything and has more useless information in his brain than any one human being on the planet.
Which
he
son?
had not, Jeremy.
Yeah.
He had not a clue. So if anyone knows why a cold apple from the refrigerator would be ticking, please call in.
I love it. Call in. Who are they going to call?
Ghostbusters.
I thought
Give
you were
us a
going to say
message.
Ken.
Give us a message on our Facebook.
If you're in an accident that wasn't your fault, call Ken.
Call Alan Shannara or Alexander Shannara.
Ken, Lord help us.
All right. Well, any other mystic moments we need to address?
Well, when I was visiting my grandson in Ohio, we went to see the Barbie movie.
Oh.
And a song, really, he said the Barbie movie was fine. And I asked him, did he feel sorry for Ken? And he went, no way. And his favorite part of the movie was the very beginning when the girls smash up the baby dolls.
Oh, dear. I haven't seen the Barbie movie. Don't spoil it.
Well, it's to the theme of 2001. Oh. But it's a big Barbie appearance. It's in the first minute. Anyway, that's typical like boy response was the favorite part was when they smashed up the babies.
Amen.
But we had a good time.
Okay.
And Barbie movie was real fun.
Yeah. I'll see it someday. Okay.
I hope it's on streaming sometime.
Yeah. It still costs
And
money.
doesn't cost $4.99.
We just watched both the old and the newer versions of Cat People. I don't know the years, but the new one is the David Bowie theme one, and then the old one is much older and much better. I would not even bother watching them.
We're watching Billy
new
the
one.
Kid because it's now free.
Nice.
I was watching Billy the Kid.
Who is?
I am.
Oh, do you like it?
Wow.
Rarely
That's
do
kind
we
of
watch
mystical
the same thing.
right there.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
good. It is good.
I
The
watched
filming's beautiful.
on our plane trip. I watched Rocky Horror Picture Show again.
Oh, how fun.
Oh,
Did you
I
get
was
up and
just-
sing?
I
and-
didn't, but I started thinking, surely I can talk my husband into dressing like these
Oh,
people
Lord.
for Halloween. Not. That would be a mystic moment.
Okay, well, I think we're going to call it a day, and I hope you all have gained some really good wisdom from listening. We always appreciate your
A lightweight vacuum
feedback,
cleaner.
and if you have any other, if you haven't find yourself in any other sticky wickets or ticket apple situations, just ask on Facebook, and maybe we'll answer.
That's
And,
right.
The best advice we can give all of you is remember, be the flame,
not the moth.